Okay, so the player one is done, and now it is up for the next one, which is this. That is the first quest. Look how thick it is. Huge. Massive. You'd be very lucky to get through all of that. What does that mean? Well, it means that it's very hard to predict because there are threats in here that you might not ever see because there's just so many cards. So we're going to go through this one by one, and the way it works is, just like the core set, this is actually 4 different encounter sets in this, okay? So that's 4 different encounter sets. There is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different encounter sets on top of that 4. So what'll happen is, as we do, but they all sort of use the same cards. So what I'm pretty sure will happen is I'll do this entire quest and go through all the encounter cards in this quest, which is the first quest called Into the Pit, and from that'll go through these, and that'll actually cover a lot of the quest cards in the other sets, and that's how these videos will go. So it'll probably be 3 more videos as there's 3 quests. Okay, so let's check it out. 1A. Entering the mine. Setup. Search the encounter deck for the east gate and a cave torch, which I have just happened to have done. And the east gate is here somewhere. Yes. Okay. Put the east gate into play as the active location, important, and have the first player attach the cave torch to a hero of his choice. Set the first hall and bridge of Khazad-Dum alongside out of play and shuffle the encounter deck. And that's how it starts, okay? So basically, it starts the game, we have 3 cards, the cave torch. Now, this is an incredibly cool card. And what this will do is that it'll allow you to scry the encounter deck. Basically, you can tap this at any time and it will place up to 3 progress tokens on any dark location. Okay? And the way it does this is by discarding the top card of the encounter deck. Now, if the top card is a enemy, it'll add the 3 tokens still, but it'll also place that enemy in the staging area. So that's its downside. There's also a Treachery card we'll get to later, which this can cancel, that you can actually cancel without using Eleanor or Test of Will. And so it's a very, very powerful card. Obviously, you want Ear to the Ground, you want Hennemarth, River Song, whatever hell his name is. Anything that allows you to peek at the encounter deck makes this card ridiculously powerful, because you know when to tap it and when to not. Only other thing to know about this card is do it at the end of the turn. Don't tap this sucker, right, before the questing phase unless you have to. Before the encounter phase unless you have to. Because if you pull a creature out, you don't want it adding to threat. Because if you tap this in the questing phase and he comes out during the questing phase, he's going to add the person's going to add to threat. If you do it before the encounter phase, you might have to fight an extra monster. So best time to do it is at the end of the turn, just before refresh. So that's the Cave Torch. Awesome card. So let's have a quick look at the East Gate, which starts off in the staging area. Now it's immune to card effects, right? And we had that in the little rules and notations. The immune to card effect means that it's completely, there's no way to place progress tokens on this except by default questing. So Lorien Guide, Northern Tracker, all that kind of shit, you can't do it. You can't use any target effects. You can't use whatever that... actually, it mentions it in this thing. Oh, it's in here somewhere. Here we are. Strider's Path, for example. You can't use that to swap this card with something else in the staging area. So it's very obvious. It's immune. Okay, it's got 7 progress tokens, so it's quite big. It's larger than some quests have been in the previous zones. Okay, so basically after you leave this gate, you can add the first hall to the staging area. Okay, and this is the first hall too, and this is the one that's in the top. Okay, and what is very interesting about the East Gate is that while it's in the active location, there are no engagement checks. Okay, so, and players cannot optionally engage enemies, which means every enemy drawn sits in the staging area and just adds threat. You cannot fight them. So, I mean, if you've got Dun here, you can obviously fight them, but you cannot, there's no engagement check, so you can't get those guys out of there. So Dun here is a pretty no-brainer to have to be involved in this quest. If I can't really see why you'd ever not play with Dun here when you're doing Into the Pit, because that entire beginning of the game is perfect. You're safe from being attacked, except for some goblins, which I'll get to later, and Dun here can still pick them off. Okay, so that's the end of the East Gate. And when the East Gate gets kicked off, you can grab the first hall, which is the next one. And you've got to complete all these. Okay. Oh, let's just finish reading the 1B from the encounter thing. When revealed, reveal 1 encounter card per player and add it to the staging area. That's very, very standard scaling mechanism for the game, as much as it is. Just means that as you reveal 1B, you've got to add 1 to the staging area. Okay, now players cannot advance to the next stage of the scenario unless Bridge of Khazad-Dum is in their victory display. Now the victory display is a new term, came out in Khazad-Dum. It basically means where you put cards with victory points. So what you need to do is you need to quest through the East Gate, you need to quest through the first hall, and then you need to quest through the Bridge of Khazad-Dum before you can finish this stage. So before you get to Khazad-Dum, of course, you've got the first hall. Each player must raise his threat by 3 to travel here. Pretty benign, who cares about that? After first hall leaves play as an explored location, add Bridge of Khazad-Dum to the staging area. Now this first hall is only 2 threat and it's only 2 progress tokens. Completely, ridiculously not scary at all. And Bridge of Khazad-Dum is while Bridge of Khazad-Dum is the active locations, players cannot play cards. Very important. Okay? Now remember, we need to complete Khazad-Dum before we can go to 2A of the actual quest itself. But what is interesting is that Khazad-Dum is only 3 threat, 3 progress tokens, so it's quite easy to get past. And remember, you've got all the time in the world because you can't get attacked by people in stage 1. So it's all about questing slowly through here while you build up your forces and then heading into the mine. That's the way I see it. Now, interesting to note that neither of these locations are dark. Okay? So you cannot use the torch on them. And that's all the special locations. So once we've travelled past the Bridge of Khazad-Dum, we are in 2B, and 2B is 11 quest tokens, and it's quite interesting. When revealed, each player must search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 enemy of his choice and add it to the staging area. 1 choice must be a patrol leader, if able. So what this means is that in solo You don't have a choice. It's kind of like that Shelob thing at the end of 3A in Shadows of Mirkwood, the very first quest that came in Core. If you're playing solo, you have to put the patrol leader, okay? Because you search your encounter deck, then you search the discard pile, and you have to put a patrol leader. But if you're playing in multiplayer, you can pick anything you want, just as long as one person picks the patrol leader. And then forced, after an enemy is revealed from the encounter deck, discard it instead of adding it to the staging area. And what that means is there is no actual build up of enemies now. Okay, once we're in 2B, and that's quite interesting. And what is extra interesting about this is that if the when revealed effects, like if you reveal an enemy and it's got doomed on it, or surge, or it's got a when revealed effect like those spiders, they still count. Okay, they're not abandoned. You just reveal it and you do the when reveals and then you discard it, but it doesn't get added to the staging area. So it's still good, but it's not quite as good an effect as some of the people have been talking about on the forums that think that it actually means that surges and dooms are not counted. And as soon as you have no enemies in the staging area, then you've finished the stage. That's it. Easy. All you got to do in solo player is kill the patrol leader, for example. So, and you don't even need 11 tokens. You automatically finish the stage as soon as there's no creatures in the staging area. Now, you can also advance by completing all 11 tokens, but I mean, you'd be in a bit of a sorry state if you got 11 tokens before completing that. And then we're on to 3B, which is 12 tokens, and this has quite an interesting effect. Heroes do not collect resources during the resource phase. So, again, this quest is all about preparation. It's all about using the East Gate's ability to not be affected by monsters to build up your complete army and then power through the last two quests as fast as possible. Remember, there is 12, count them, 12 resources that you need. Okay? Now, it's interesting, does not collect resources during the resource phase. So that means Ziggle Miner, that means Gloin, that means Steward of Gondor. They will all still allow you to collect resources. It's only the resource phase that you can't get them. Okay, so that's the crux of that quest. Not a very hard quest, in my experience. I actually won this the very first time I ever played it, and I've won it multiple times since. The key to me was basically done here. Done here and Duodane Mark allows you to pick off creatures out of the staging area, and you can just stall for as long as possible until you have everything set up. Then you just zoom through, dropping your threat reduction, and bang, game over. Okay, so let's have a look at here. We have Stairs of Nain. This is an underground. The first player must exhaust one character he controls to travel here. It's 2 threat, and it's 4 progress tokens. Kind of scary. It does have a shadow effect. Defending player must choose and exhaust one character he controls. So, this is the kind of card you would prefer to see. It doesn't really do much except stall you. Then we have... wow, there's lots of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of these Treacheries. Let's check them out. Doom 2 and Surge. So that's pretty intense. Note that this Treachery does not have when revealed written on it. You cannot cancel this with Test of Will. You cannot cancel this with Eleanor. But luckily, it doesn't really do much. It gives you Surge, which is bad, and Doom 2. There's 5 of them. Okay, so next we have the Patrol Leader. This is the one you have to fight at one point during the game. Force. Before Patrol Leader is dealt damage, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If the discarded card is an enemy, cancel that damage. Interesting effect. He has 3 defense, he has 4 attack. So he's no joke, but he's not the kind of scary monster that we have seen in recent things. I mean, he's no Atacop. I mean, what is though? So I mean, he's pretty interesting. And his shadow effect is cancel all damage dealt to this enemy, which is a really interesting. This is actually a very, very interesting shadow thing because it actually talks about the way the timing works in this game, which pretty much every single person I see talking seems to have got wrong. It's very complicated when you break down the timing events. But what actually happens is, even though you're doing everything, taking it in turns, because that's the way you actually need to do it to work it out, it's like if you, it's actually happening all at once. So even though this guy is attacking, you're defending, and then you're attacking, and then he's defending, and then he's getting damage, and then he's dying, or whatever, that whole phase, the whole encounter phase, is actually a single moment in time that's just broken up into those sections so it's able to be processed through the rules. And that is why cancel all damage dealt to this enemy actually includes your attack back, even though it comes out as the shadow during the player card attack. That makes sense. I know what I mean anyway. Basically, the point is, even though this is dealt as a shadow card, it cancels the damage that you do back to it that turn. Okay. And here is another goblin. Now, I'm going to have to check out, there's a guy, I can't pronounce his name, it's like Wright something, he's a UK dude, he's on the FFG forums, and he's like a, psycho law nut, like he's just, I'm sure he'll know, but goblins and orcs are apparently the same thing, because in this game all goblins also have the orc subtype. But anyway, so this is an orc goblin, and each player with threat of 25 or higher cannot optionally engage the goblin scout. Once again, I don't really care because I often run Done Here, and Done Here can kill this guy in one shot. He's got 2 health, 0 defense. Done Here attacks the staging area for 3 points. So, not scary to me at all. We have another goblin, and Goblin Swordsman gets +2 attack if the attack is undefended. Now that is an interesting one. He already has 3. Okay, so you have to defend against this guy, unless of course you're running Frodo. And again, best place to kill him is in the staging area. He has 1 defense, 2 health, which means Done Here, again, can kill him in the staging area. Done Here is a hero in this quest, trust me. He owns this quest. There's tons of these guys. Okay. And we come to the first real treachery that is a problem. This is another condition attachment, which means Miner of the Iron Hills. That's the only condition attachment removal spell we have. But you can also Test of Will this. You can also Eleanor to get rid of it. And, of course, the most important, with this quest anyway, Cave Torch. Okay, if you're using Cave Torch correctly, you're going to be tapping this and sending cards like this, with any luck, to the discard pile. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that you should be using the Cave Torch to scry the encounter deck. Okay, so that's the end of those. This is, oh yeah, I better tell you what the card does. When the player attaches Watchable Eyes to one of the heroes, counts as a condition attachment. Limit 1 per hero. Forced. If attached hero is exhausted at the end of the combat phase, reveal 1 card from the encounter deck and add it to the staging area. Awesome card. Watchful Eyes, constantly getting stuff following you, adding threat. I love the whole feel of this card. And what I also love about this card is that it gives you a chance to get out of it. You can untap, if you can untap your person, you've got a UC on him, you've got a horse breaker or whatever the hell they're called that you can sack and retap. There's a lot of ways you can tap. Most people have at least 1 on UC and 3 fast hitches, which means hobbits are really good to place this on because there's a good chance you can get your fast hitches out. If you're like me and you've got 3 UCs and 3 fast hitches, this card isn't really that scary. Okay, next, Goblin Tunnels. This is a dark location and it can be used with the Cave Torch, and it has 7 progress tokens. Now, what is interesting about Goblin Tunnels is that while Goblin Tunnels is in the staging area, it gains Forced. After a goblin is revealed from the encounter deck, remove a progress token from the current quest card. Now, there is interesting ways to look at this, and what I mean by that is that there is a error in some of the cards in the way they talk, like Blade of Gondolin, Legolas. They say quest card, but they also mean the traveled location. Does this card remove from itself? Okay, I don't know. Remember, it doesn't happen while it's in the. What they've done, a lot of these cards, their effects don't happen unless when they're in the staging area. They don't happen when they're in the travel area. So they're trying to remove that northern tracker, stopping people traveling. But the question is, if this is the active if there's an active location, does it pull quest tokens from the active location, or does it pull it from the quest card itself? I'm going to lean towards I play that it pulls it off the quest card. Okay, but I would be interested to see what other people think. But I'm pretty sure that that's correct. And it does have 7, count 'em, progress tokens to get by, which is pretty hardcore. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 of these. What are these? CaveIn. Hazard. I hate hazards. Hazards absolutely screw me over. When revealed, remove all progress tokens from the current quest card and active locations. If CaveIn remove no progress tokens, it gains Surge. So, as far as Treacheries goes, this one doesn't worry me at all. I don't care how many progress tokens get removed, especially in this quest where we're trying to stall until we've got as much stuff out in the first quest card. I don't care. Well, the one I care about are the ones that kill my heroes or destroy my allies, and this doesn't do any of that. So I just have no fear of this one. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of these, so this one's fairly likely to be seen. Dark and Dreadful. When revealed, deal 1 damage to each exhausted character. 2 damage instead if it's an active location is dark. Remember, you can use the cave torch to get rid of darks. Now, this is the kind of treachery that screws you up, but actually kills and wipes your board. This is the kind of treachery you don't like. This is why you run Test of Will. This is when you run Eleanor. I don't care what people say. Eleanor is still one of the best heroes in the game. It baffles me that people play without Eleanor. Treacheries don't mean jack if you run Eleanor correctly. Okay, Shadow. Deal 1 damage to the defending character. Attacking enemy gets +2 instead if the attack is undefended. So, this is quite an interesting shadow effect. It means that you have to be careful with your damage. You really have to be careful with your damage on your heroes because it's not like +1 attack. Defense isn't going to help. You can pull a shadow card that's going to add a damage on top of the normal damage. Kind of like that axe that you get. the simple act of attacking will put a damage on, even if the monster can't get through your defense. Okay, so here we go. Sudden Pitfall. There is only one of these as far as I can tell. And that means it is, you know, I mean, look how thick this deck is. And there's only one of these cards. What are the chances we're even going to see this? Very, very few times. So you can't be too panicked about this, but you need to know that it's in there. It is another hazard. Hazard are always bad. When revealed, the first player must discard one questing character he controls, if able. This effect cannot be cancelled. Okay, so obviously that's bad. If you are only questing with heroes, you've got to discard a hero. So it's a really harsh card, and there's nothing you can do about it. There is no defense except from having a lot of characters on your board. This card is going to hurt solo players a lot more than it's going to hurt you know, multiple players, because the chances are they're going to have allies. Best way to deal with this card is try and get an ally as quickly as possible, keep them alive, and always have an extra ally questing. Next, the Dreadful Gap. X. Okay, X is the number of characters in play. Interesting. It's only 2 threat, but the quest tokens is the number of characters in play. That is interesting. There's some pretty cool things you can do with this, like, say, sacking a Horsebreaker, and that actually lowers it, and then suddenly you've got enough progress tokens to complete it. So there's kind of cool things. Anyway, when revealed, immediately travel to Dreadful Gap. If another location is currently active, return it to the staging area. So, pretty cool. I like this card. Fouled Well. It costs 3 and it's 5 to clear. I love the way that we're getting more quest tokens actually on the locations. One of the things that really bummed me out with the later Shadows of Mirkwood stuff, especially Return, was that it was all about going fast. I want to go slow. I want the game to be drawn out. I want to draw as much of my own deck as possible, get all my cool stuff happening. I want to see as much of the encounter deck as possible. And these, you know, we've had, you know, 7 quest tokens, 5 quest tokens. So you're really going to be spending a lot of time plowing through all this stuff. But anyway, this actually also has a hazard, okay? And when revealed, each player must choose and discard 1 card at random from his hand. If all players did not discard 1 card, Fouled Well gains Surge. So, again, interesting card, and unfortunately this is the kind of card that doesn't really hurt you. Like, you're not going to die from this card most likely. I mean, usually you'll be able to discard a card, but it's the kind of card where you could have a plan set up, like, oh, okay, next time I'm going to feint this guy and then I'm going to attack with these guys and everything's going to be cool. Oh wait, hang on, I don't have feint anymore. So it's very interesting. And I love the way it's a forced when revealed effect. But remember, you can cancel this when revealed effect using Test of Will. Remember, Eleanor can only cancel Treacheries. So, Fouled Well. Awesome. And here we have the Goblin Follower, another Goblin Orc. Now, this is the interesting one. When revealed, Goblin Follower engages the last player. Now, when you're playing solo, that means it just engages you. When you're playing multiplayer, it just means it's whoever is the last turn before the round resets, okay? Now, what is cool about this is that the when revealed effect means that he comes straight to you. He does not hang around and add threat. As soon as he's revealed, boom, straight into the engagement area. What is bad about this guy is that he's got 3 attack. Okay, so you know he's no joke. 2 defense, 4 hit points. That means you need to hit him for 6 to kill this guy. He's no joke. Dunhere's not going to help you with this guy. And this guy here, this is the card that's going to cause you the most pain in this quest. This is the one that's going to really give you trouble. Okay, and there's a lot of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So, Goblin Follow, not a nice card. Okay, Branching Paths. Underground Dark. Now, dark, of course, means you can tap it with your cave torch. While Branching Paths is in the staging area, again, remember, they're making these cards so you have to travel places. Excellent idea. Each dark location gets +1 threat. So that's very cool. We all know how that can get out of hand, especially, you have like a whole row of stuff on the top. It can get out of hand pretty quickly. Forced. After Branching Paths leaves play as an explored location, look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. Players must choose one of those to reveal and add to the staging area, moving the other 2 to the bottom of the deck. So, this is awesome. I mean, anything that allows you to control what's coming out of the encounter deck is going to be extremely good. Remember, Cave Torch. Okay? So, anything that is not going to be a monster is good, because it allows you to tap this more often. Okay? So, yeah. I don't think there's actually anything you're digging for in this quest, so it's not as good as it would be in some of the other quests. But still, I do like anything that allows me to manipulate the actual encounter deck. And it's a very well designed card, because they know that it has a fairly positive player function, which is why it's only got 1 will. Okay? Which means that there's going to be a lot of other locations far more tempting to go check out. But remember, you don't have to travel to a location for it to be explored. You just need to put the progress tokens on it. So when this guy taps out, right, puts 3 progress tokens on it, that effect will still trigger even if it is not in the staging area, not in the traveled location area. And we have Lightless Passage. This is a bit of an annoying one. It's got 4 will and it's got 4 progress tokens. It is underground and dark. Players must exhaust a cave torch to travel here. Now, remember, there is that new card in Lore that allows you to put 4 progress tokens on. It's almost like it's made for this card to cancel this. Basically, you can cancel this card using that. So, travel. Players must exhaust the cave torch to travel here. Very awesome, flavorful card. Look how dark this dark passageway. You got to use your torch to get in there. Fucking love it. And Shadow. Cancel all combat damage dealt to attacking enemy. There you go. We've seen that effect already. And here we have the Ziggle Mineshaft. Good old Ziggy. 5 threat, 5 progress tokens, and action. Raise each player's threat by 1 to place 1 progress token on the mineshaft. So you can reveal this and get rid of it straight away by paying 5 threat. Okay? Now, that sounds a lot, but it's 5 threat in the staging area. That means it's going to add. You need to quest. Like if you're questing and you're only just skimping through, this comes out, it's actually going to cost the same amount of threat to add that 5 as it is to leave it in the staging area. So you don't have to, actually spending the 5 threat to get rid of this card straight away is not a bad thing to do, especially in solo game. In multiplayer games, it of course is worse because everybody raises their threat. But in solo games, spending that 5 threat isn't actually that bad an idea. And remember, if you can travel here and then put a couple of progress tokens on it, you might, say this turns up, okay? It is dark. You then use Cave Torch, puts 3 progress tokens on it. It's only 2 threat to get rid of a 5 threat card. So not too scary. And combos excellently with Cave Torch. And And here we have many roads. First, it gains Surge. Second, it's when revealed, Eleanor will not cancel Surge, remember? So if you cancel this with Eleanor, it'll cancel the when revealed, it'll still Surge, and then you'll have to draw another card. So Eleanor, I mean, they've really gone to some great length to try and cut down how awesome that card is. Eleanor is just ridiculously powerful, and they're really, like, the cards are designed specifically. This card is actually designed to make her not as useful. But anyway, when revealed, shuffle all locations in the encounter discard pile back to the encounter deck. Again, doesn't really worry me. Like I said, I don't care about cards that don't kill me. So here we have Burning Low. When revealed, each enemy and location currently in the staging area gets +1 until the end of the phase. +3 instead if it's a dark location. Players may exhaust a cave torch to cancel this effect. Okay, so that's awesome. Again, don't tap Cage Torch until the end of the turn. You need it to cancel things like this, to cancel things like this location. There's tons of things you can do with this torch, but you can't do it if it's tapped, so tap it at the end. So this can be cancelled with Eleanor, can cancel with Test of Will, it can cancel with Cave Torch, it can be scryed with Cave Torch. Lots of way to get around this card. And that is that. That's the end of this quest. Very cool quest, and very, very fun, and not difficult. It is difficulty level blah 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 5. Okay, from Fantasy Flight, rate it as 5, and I'm going to agree with them. A lot of people seem to think it's very difficult. I disagree. So there, rage away, mofos. And that is the first lot of quest cards. I will see you next time.